Hey guys, and welcome back to the Final Sun channel. As always, I'm glad to have you guys here, and we got some important stuff to talk about today. So, if you're familiar with Warframe, I believe you might, like me, recognize some similarities between that and Marvel's Avengers. Today, we're going to be breaking down what 5 things could Marvel's Avengers take from Warframe with these similarities in order to help them improve their late game content. And since there's so much we want to talk about, we're going to get down into it quickly. If you guys find this content to help you guys, you're doing me a huge favor if you like and subscribe. I appreciate the support and I try and return it in kind by providing you guys with information and guides to help you through your different game progresses. So if you're feeling nice today, go ahead and click that subscribe button and change it to subscribed. For those of you who are not extremely familiar with Warframe, it was launched in 2013 and is now available on just about any console you can think of. It is a science fiction kind of third person action RPG, and while I wouldn't necessarily put it in the stereotypical third person shooter category, it does have a lot of those different aspects. It also has a lot of similarities with Marvel, where you start in a base and travel with a squad of 4 to different missions on different planets, and they all have a different category for kind of mission they are. And you get rewards based off the type of mission you do and how well you do it. That being said, it leads me into the first point that I want to talk about when it comes to what Marvel could do to be similar to Warframe. And this would be their mission types. I know that sounds a little vague, but stick with me here and I'll explain. If you play Marvel, you're familiar that there are so many different kinds of missions like assault, defense, rescue, and similarly, there are even more for Warframe, and a lot of these kind of echo each other. If you want to think about the sabotage mission where you have to guard 3 different nodes in Marvel's Avengers, there is the equivalent in Warframe where you have interception missions where you go in and you do the exact same thing, but with 4 nodes. I like the 4 better because when you're playing with a co-op team of 4, I really think it really emphasizes that cooperation more when each one of you has to guard your own node. But the difference with Warframe that I think allows it to stand out more than Marvel's Avengers is it's an ongoing mission that continues even after you complete the objective. It gets harder and harder each time you defend them correctly. So if you hold the nodes and they get to 100%, you're given a reward. And then, if you choose, you can continue in the mission or you can leave. But if you continue, you'll get a better reward for that second time it gets to 100%. So it really progresses and rewards you for sticking it out and playing when it's tougher. I think that Marvel would do wonders if they implemented a system similar to this one, where you can continue and get specific rewards that you can use in other game modes. Going into even more detail about what I mean with that is in Warframe, you get different kinds of rewards each time you go through. You can get relics, which you can use to upgrade and break open to get different equipment, gear, and different even Warframes. In Marvel, all you really get for completing this is moving on to the next objective or getting a piece of gear and some probably common resources for completing the mission. It is not varied enough to make it worth repeating over and over. And no one's going to go out of their way to do this mission if you're just going to get some epic gear at the end of it. So I think if they were to pay close attention to the reward system that is introduced in the missions in Warframe and apply a lot of the variety that is in the Warframe missions, then it really would help make a lot of replayability for these missions. Not only that, but since there is so much variety and so much similarity in between the different kinds of missions you can use in Warframe and the kinds of missions that you can do in Marvel's Avengers, I think they should take note of what they could implement in the future. There are missions like Rescue in Marvel's Avengers that are different, where you just go in, break something open, and then get out of there. But there are also missions in Warframe where you break someone out of prison in a rescue mission and you have to actually guide them back. And that, I think, is a little bit of a twist. You don't have to do that every time, but if you included that kind of mission in there, I think it would also provide a little bit of playability. Don't get me wrong, I love the missions in Marvel's Avengers. I think they are super fun. the first 10 times you do them. I think variety is needed, and something that you can do with your friends that's not the same every time, that gives you a different reward when you go and do it the next time, I think would provide a lot of replayability for this in-game content. The next point I want to make are random events. And to explain what I mean by that is Marvel doesn't have any difference between doing a drop zone one time and doing it the second time. If you do a war zone, yeah, you might have some different objectives you can do along the way, like opening a cache or rescuing someone or taking out a high value target, but most of the time those are going to be the same anyway. So I think there needs to be a variety in each time you repeat the same kind of mission. So I would encourage them to implement random events in missions. In Warframe, there are countless different kinds of random events that can happen. This example you see here, where you see I am invaded by these glass makers, and each time I kill one of them, it increases my faction experience for that faction. Or there are different situations where you can be invaded by the hunter, who will try and kill you, and if you kill him, you have a chance to get his weapons. Another way to reward your players for playing the same kind of mission over and over in hopes to get some of these random events. I know that right now we're still pretty early, but I think there's opportunity for it. You could be invaded by someone other than Taskmaster, hopefully, since he's in the game so much, but a mercenary who might try and take you guys out. But if you kill him, you have a chance to get some exotic gear. Just mix it up a little bit so it's not only get to the end of this mission in hopes of getting exotic gear. It's do the mission and you might have a chance to get it during it, or get something else entirely, depending on what they want to introduce into the game. For a game that is so heavily focused on multiplayer, I feel like there are some key aspects that have been left out of it. And I know a lot of it is to preserve the story, but at this point, I feel like a little bit of the story could be compromised in order to include some more friendly and competitive content for the game. What I would love to see introduced into Marvel Avengers are guilds. Now, you can call these what you want. You can call them different alliances, different raid teams, or even different legions. It really doesn't matter what you want to call it. Some call it factions, some call it guilds. It goes by a lot of different names. But basically, one where players can work together to achieve a goal for their specific sect of players. And I'm not talking about the community challenges each week, where we get something like a nameplate if we go kill this many of this kind of villain. I mean something where we all join together to work towards a common goal for about 20 to 30 different players, not the entire community. In Warframe, they call these dojos, and you can join one and work together to build your entire dojo. You work together literally to contribute resources and build different rooms for an entire dojo that it can be so expansive. Then you can use those resources to build other blueprints together, build weapons, and build your own ship that you can fly off and do different missions with each other. These missions, you work together as some people using the guns, and some people using piloting, some making sure that the hull is not breached, while others exit the ship themselves to take out some fighters in their different exo-wing suits. The fact that you're all working together to get resources to put into more group events to work together even further in the future, and you're all progressing together at the same time, it's just something that's severely lacking in Marvel. I mean, yeah, you go in with your friends in a team of 4 if it doesn't crash when you're doing that. And then really that's all you do. You break up after that one mission. You didn't get to share any of the resources or the gear, and then you just do it again if you want to. It's so grindy without the success and the feeling of accomplishment as a team when you finish. If we follow down further in this line, I think that we could even implement it further and to say that we do some trading between players. Everyone has gear they don't want, and everyone has some gear that they would be willing to trade to someone else to get the gear that they do want. Now, I know that right now it's very limited on the items players have, but I think that if they were to implement this correctly, they could really focus on players working together to get the gear they want, rather than grinding out the same mission 50 times in the same day to hope to get one exotic and maybe not getting any at all. I know right now for the continuity of this game, they're trying to keep it so that there's only one Hulk and one Iron Man. And I know they've talked that they don't necessarily have plans immediately to branch off to have two Hulks in the same mission, or you to be able to play as another character or someone else on the same mission. But given the Marvel Universe and how many different dimensions are involved with this, and the fact that we're using tachyon rifts now, which already imply time travel, I think that they could very easily introduce other dimensions so that you could interact with another Hulk and you could trade together on mutual ground. This would also apply to the dojos so that people could play as the same character and everyone could work in the same team without it being limited to 6 people right now, since there would be one Avenger per person. So if you introduce dimensions, you introduce trading, you introduce dojos, and maybe some other ways for players to interact with other players, then I really think it would improve the late game content and keep players around longer so they don't feel like they're grinding out as much and they have more to do with their friends. Lastly, I think something that could keep players around are a unique player level that you have to increase other than the different character levels. Now, let me explain what I mean by that. So if you play as Hulk, you can get him to level 50. If you play as Iron Man, you can get him to level 50. And both of them you can get to power level 150 as well. But there is nothing that is unique to your account that levels up when you level up these different characters. In Warframe, when you level up equipment and gear and you master them, it increases your overall total level. And there will be some weapons that say you need a mastery level of 12 to equip or mastery level 13. So what you do is you go and you practice by using different swords until you master those swords, and they increase your overall total level. And then once you have mastered enough weapons and warframes, you can equip these new ones that had a requirement of a mastery level of 12 or higher. With Avengers, there's nothing like this. And I'm not saying necessarily they have to implement a requirement to equip gear, although I think that would be neat if they did so. But I think it would be nice to implement an account level that levels up as you work together with your friends to increase the power level and the character level of your 6 different Avengers. And that would mean that this total level maximum would increase each time they introduce a new Avenger to compensate for the new experience that would be gained by leveling him up. Again, this would give you a reason to want to go max out all your Avengers and to make sure that you're progressing in the game so that when higher level content does come out, you're able to equip it when it comes out. And maybe they'll increase even higher level requirements for this gear so that maybe 2 years from now, if you have 6 maxed out Avengers, you're not going to be able to equip it yet. You need to have 7 or 8 maxed out ones. Or not all of them maxed out, but we have a roster of 15 Avengers and all of them are about half level maxed, then you'd still be able to equip it. But either way, it encourages you to want to continue to grow your Avengers and your entire roster to prepare your account for future content. That's about all I have for you guys today. I appreciate you sticking around and seeing how to get these rewards and exploring the options for what you can do with them. I'm excited that they're giving these out, and I really want to see what they continue to have in the future for the fans. If this video helped you guys out in any way, you're doing me a huge favor if you like and subscribe to continue to support me to make content like this to help you with your adventure down this Marvel game and other games yet to come out. I appreciate the support, and I look forward to seeing you guys in the next video. Have a great day.